Fratello the Rugby Podcast. The Italian Rugby Podcast. Fratello the Rugby Podcast. The Italian Rugby Podcast. The Italian Rugby Podcast. The Italian Rugby Podcast.
E benvenuti, welcome everyone to a new episode of Fratelli Rugby Podcast. Monday is the end of the season for the Italian teams, not for the Italian players, but yes, for now. For the Italian team, it's time to rest, so it's gonna be time to review a little bit the season and of course the matches of the weekend. But before starting, Mike, ciao, come stai? Che dici?
Ciao. No, I'm good, mate. I'm good. Nothing much really, not just, plodding along. How about you? All good?
Same, pretty the same. Subbing, working, classic stuff of the Monday night, let's say, right?
Yeah. It's always a nice feel on a Monday to actually talk a bit of rugby. So, yeah,
nice. It's gonna help us having a longer weekend of rugby before going on different, let's say, different game, different vibes, because the international window for us is going to be next as a different feeling. But there was, before starting also the UFC, there were the semi-finals, the second round of the semi-finals of the Serie A Elite, and the final will be Viadana versus Rovigo. So it's going to be interesting to see these two style of play. You can rewatch the game on Rai Play and everything, so go check there the videos, and of course on the Italian Rugby Federation YouTube all the highlights. But Mike, let's start with the game where we put, I think, more hope to have a longer season instead of saying today bye to the season, maybe a week more, 2 weeks more, which is Benetton, Munster Benetton. This game tell us a lot of things. Where shall we start? What do you think was the key moment of the game?
Yeah, it's tough to say, to be honest, Otto. Like, obviously, I think they went in 14-10 at half-time, Benetton up from memory. And it just seemed... like we were saying, it just seemed that for whatever reason, whoever came off the bench wasn't as impactful as we anticipated, particularly in set piece. It felt like set piece diminished a lot, both line out and scrum, and I think that's something that unfortunately probably impacted the latter stages of the game. I suppose so. Like, to answer your question, Otto, I think probably around the 55 mark when they brought the boys on. I think that's probably where the key moment of the game was won or lost, in my opinion.
Right, that change, and the changes in the backs, of course, Mike. They change the game, the mood of the game, because, as you said, in the first half. They were a bit lucky with the first try, Munster, with the guy a little bit in the middle with Brex. But anyway, they found a really good spot in the defense after the first attack wide. But then two great set piece, same players on the scoreboard. 2 assists, Umaga, 2 scores by Rhino Smith.
Yeah.
But then they were missing a little bit of spark in attack. There was not that connection, and probably also, sad to say, Odogu went out too early in the game. That didn't help in the construction on the building of the backs, because you moved out of position. Let's say Rhino Smith, he can play on the wing, but we know how little is when he's playing as a fullback. So you demolish that power, because you have those changes in the bench. Was Brex taking off too early?
Oh, it's hard to say, isn't it? He's played so much rugby, and I think Brex is a kind of player similar to Fischetti, who is quite impassioned, and like if I think sometimes players like that are either very, very good to have on your side with the referee, but Brex is also the kind of player that is very vocal, and we need that at national team level. We need a player like that, but also when you can hear frustration and you can see frustration, sometimes it's better to take players like that off, in my opinion, anyway, right? Because as much as what they contribute with ball in hand, sometimes we've played the game, we know, right? Let's be honest, we've played the game, we know at a point when you start losing the ref, right? Those 50-50s start. It's tough game to play when it's like that. So was it the right moment? Maybe not. Maybe at that he could have had another 5-10 minutes to play the game. But then, I think also it was quite an integral part of the game. So I can understand why they did,
And on the other side, I think a little bit of the experience went out when you face another team that knows how to win, also URC. So there was something there too. You think when those are on one side we have caps for Benetton, but that international level is not the same with between the two teams. You think is something that create a kind of gap during when you have to believe more in the last minutes of the game?
I mean, let's first of all, you're right. We need to credit Munster because they played the perfect game for
efficiently,
them, right?
efficient.
Yeah,
when
the
Kravis
perfect game.
are kicking behind,
right,
and putting pressure there, and then we start making those mistakes with ball in hands. Think about Albornoz tackled, penalty against, right? So
right, but
they did well.
Yeah, but if we're being honest here, right, like whether you look at experience at winning games or we've got players like Gallo, we've got players like Albornoz, we've got players like Umaga, like Odog, we've got these ridiculous players as well. So experience, maybe like how to win tournament knockout games, I think that comes in a long way on what you were saying. But realistically, I think it's also less about the mentality per se, but I also think sometimes it's about how the players are deployed, and that's also a discussion that we need to have. We're going to have with our review, right? Is how do we think the season has gone, let alone the last game, and were players played in the best position to get the most out of each other, and that's also a conversation that needs to be had.
Mike, I think we should go through that point because Domenico already pointed out a couple of situations about tired players, the drill with Scarlett. So let's review a little bit more because it's an headache. If I have to think, we have mal di testa. If I have to think about how we ended up the season, very similar to last year. When the last games were the critical games that you have to win, those finals that we are mentioning again and again, but this time we were short. Maybe if it was Treviso Munster, I had a little bit more confident, right? Because Treviso magic, Monigo magic sometimes can help more in building belief to go and create more. But the season, Mike, it seems like we had some peaks during this season, if we had, of course, the Champions Cup. But do you think there was consistency along the season? Probably just this short period after the Six Nations, after a couple of bad games, they had 4 or 5 games straight.
Yeah, Otto, I was literally about to say before you said peaks and troughs. That's literally what I was about to say. Up and down, up and down,
right.
Up and down. Like let's talk. And I think actually Domenico's made a really, really good point. And hi, Phantom, by the way, we'll come to some of those points as well. But I think he made a really good point about at the start, right, with the first few games, it's tough, right? We know Italian teams start slow. We know Italian teams start slow in Six Nations. We know Italian teams start slow in key games, clearly. It's one of those where to win a season, right? There's sort of like 3 or 4 like different parts to the season. There's the team that right at the start of the season, you've got your full team, everyone should be fit and healthy post pre-season. That's the time where an enlarged team like Benetton should be trying to make the most of what they have, right? There's that side. Then obviously there's the pre-autumn internationals where you're transitioning because the internationals need to leave. You need to manage that bit better. And then again, it happens again, like you said, in the Six Nations. But it seems to me like it's almost like taken for a given that the first few games, it's a stereotype, we're slow starters. That can't happen next season. If this team genuinely wants to be a playoff level team, and this goes for both teams, by the way, although I think Zebre,
this
in a
will
sense,
start
started
perfectly. Yes,
right,
we can
right?
echo it to Parma too. This is the same.
Right. Next season, whoever is the first team up against either Benetton or Zebre, they need to sweat for a win if they're going to go for a win. They need to genuinely sweat for a win because, like you said, games are won by such fine margins. We spoke about Zebre with 3 games where they've lost by less than a kick. Same with Scarlets, like Domenico said, like had that not happened, like we wouldn't even be having this discussion. We would probably be saying, hey, they reached playoffs. That's what we expected. We didn't expect them to win it. We didn't expect them to come number 1. But they hit playoffs and we'd be happy. But it's just
right.
a sour taste in the mouth, Otto.
That is because, of course, the majority of this team represent also Italy. So
yeah,
if stuff goes bad on Benetton or bad for Italy in general, then we know different coaches and stuff, but still, the players are the same. So a bad season, you maybe have margin and you want to show more when you are with the national team. Okay, but you need to win those games to be ready for the international level, and the international level should help you level up your game to the top, to the best performance. They had situation this season where you arrive at the end, as Phantom said, can happen because it was really open, the URC this season. Until the end, they were fighting for spots in the playoff. But it's not a team that Benetton that had managed 2 years in a row playoff in the tournament, and that is something they expect even more than a Champions Cup game, actually, because I would like really consistent, so you can play dreaming. No, maybe they can do it in a couple of years. You go quarterfinals, you play home quarterfinals, and then you play another game because you were in the top, as Phantom was saying, the 4th position, the 1st position. So you're gonna play some games more home, and everything can change. But 2 years ago we were good, and we did the playoff. This season we were good there, but for me the URC is so important, Mike, because we have to face those teams where they're not, let's say, international names, because they're not playing for Italy maybe, but they are really good club players, and they show sometimes, and they slap us sometimes, and that has to change. All those games, and Osprey's defeat, yes, the Scarlets, the draws, I mean, those games has to change. But in all of this, Mike, then we're going to find something positive, because there is...
Yeah. I think it's important for us to lay our cards out, though. And one thing that I think is really clear, and this is actually what I suppose the boys are also talking about in the chat, is the points difference. Like, if we wanted to be really objective here, clearly there was a disconnect between the defense, there was a disconnect between the attack. And it happened consistently, right? For us to be minus, I don't know what it ended up, but I think it was minus close to 100, right? In terms of the points difference.
This
I think it was
season,
minus 78.
minus 85. Last season, plus 11. 2 years ago, minus 93.
Okay, right. So we're talking about a clear disconnect, winning games by a point or 2 and stuff. And we've got a team that's good enough right, to not be in that position. So I think if we're laying our cards out and we're saying, okay, let's be objective about this season, Otto, as you've got it perfect. I love coming on like these calls with you because you're already prepared. Like if we're already talking about, okay, where do we put this in terms of Benetton's recent performances? Yeah, it was good, but realistically, 3 years on, that step, Otto, that step that we're always looking for, and again, I don't know what the magic, the sort of the magic fix is, and I'm sure people would pay a lot of money for it, but minus 85, it looks like a tough game. Like points 4 as well, like less than last year as well, which is interesting. Although more tries, is that what we're saying?
We
Tries
scored
4, sorry, 50.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
51 less, but this year 9 tries more than last year, which is still the second best in the last 4 years, if we have to say. But and the bonus point always the same. Losing bonus point always less than the scoring bonus point. They evolve better in this.
That's really important. Actually, let's touch on that, Otto. See, I want to, like, again, we don't have the stats for this unless you pull it out of anywhere, but I guarantee we're going to see in the top 4, the top 4 teams, if we analyze them, loads more losing bonus points, because the mentality isn't to switch off when things are going bad. Like, the mentality is to try and win the game at all costs. So again, I reckon we're going to see a lot more, if we were like analyzing it. I'm sure we'll see a lot more losing bonus points in the top 4. And I know that sounds like it's crazy, but maybe obviously there's going to be ones like Leinster that have only lost once, which they're probably only going to have 1 losing bonus point. But you know what I mean. The teams that have lost.
No, I will check later on. I'm gonna let you know. I'm gonna do them in general so we can see better the top 4, or maybe I should do average for the team in the playoff. Team that goes to the playoff in the last 3 years. Let's see how much it changed. Let's say the ratio to go to the playoff. So almost 50 points you need every.
But the point, Otto, that I'm trying to make here is the points. Like it's all good winning, like the try bonus points. That means the attack's going well, but the losing bonus point is more about attitude than defense, right? Like you can leak some tries, but then it's about like the mental fortitude to try and get back into a game. And we saw I don't want to bring up
or Mike, also scoreboard pressure by kicking, not only scoring
right. We're going to talk about lineouts, we're going to talk about scoreboard pressure. It's the same things, but it's the same things. Just to sort of finish this point, we saw it when we got nilled against whoever. We saw it against New Zealand, 3 years ago. Like, we need to snap out of that mentality. That's not good for rugby. Like, we need that gladiatorial spirit. We need to make sure that when things are going bad, we find a way to try and keep the game or slow the game down or try and work out a way of making it better. And that, for me, Otto, is what's going to make us into a good team, both at national level and in the URC. So that's something that I'm hoping to see from both teams. And I think Zebra have actually deployed it a lot better this season, ironically, than Benetton, considering they finished second last,
Of course. Well, if you think from how much it changed, they doubled the points since last year, 15, last year 29.
Yeah.
So double of the points, 5 victory. We're gonna go through the data too. Let me see. Do you have the final standing of the regular season? Can we see the difference between the first 3 teams and the rest of the playoff teams? Let's see it. We can go on the URC website and we can see this. Let me open as much as possible. We can see with this. Okay, look, the try bonus points and bonus points.
The same.
My God. But also Glasgow
lost
Warriors
2 games.
5, Stormers 4, Munster 4, Edinburgh 6 points, losing bonus points. And then we have Cardiff out. So this is this season. These
So
are
look, even Edinburgh. Look at Edinburgh.
no, this is
Yeah,
crazy because this is representing the try bonus points and the losing bonus points. Then there are the tries, the difference -68. Man, it's crazy if you think it's like this. And -85. Also, the worst difference. No. Of course, there is Zebra, but on the top, close
yeah.
1 point, 2 points. Yeah, Mike.
How
Couple of
many losing bonus points did Zebra get? 3, 4?
Zebra 4 and 3, 7 total, and Benetton 8 total.
Yeah. So this is the point, right? That is, and Domenico, you're spot on. That is the picture. That is 100% the issue, right? We got 2 or 3 more losing bonus points again, we probably wouldn't be having this discussion. And it comes down to trying to get this monkey off our back of Italian rugby, so that when things are going bad, we work out a way, like find a way to win.
Question for you and for everyone in the chat. Is it acceptable to have the squad they have and not get to the playoff? For me, Phantom, as I said, no. I think we have a team that should be in the playoff, but they have to win the games and get the points to go to the playoff, because then the matches, the when they face another team and is better, when it happened, because they reach the 4 points, the 5 points, whatever points they need, more than another one.
Yeah, I agree, Otto. I think objectively, if you look at the talent that's in Benetton's team, and this is sort of the point I was trying to make with Monster when you mentioned,
that's why it
they've got
sucks
experience.
when you don't see those players going into playoff.
Right, Otto. And again, you know what's interesting? The players that people potentially were complaining about stepped up at the point that it needed to step up. The players that have that spark, the players that show that additional quality, like Umaga has had such a good 3 or 4 games on the bounce. Like he's been back to like his Wasps sort of level, where they were like competing in Europe and they were competing for the Premiership, like the Umaga of old, right? We know players like that do step up at the right time. They find, and again, it comes down to that mentality piece that we were talking about. So, and actually, you know what? Like, credit to Benetton, the previous 3 or 4 games as well, like, because the general standard has improved massively.
And when you see that the player that we are expecting to prove a point, they are proving the point with great the game. That's fantastic, even more when they are Italian, right?
Yeah, right.
Talking about Fabretto, of course. Talking about
And line break
this season. Talk about players. First award of the year. Who you think is the MVP of the season for
Benetton?
Yes. Then you can give me best forward and a best back. But who is the player that for you top?
Mendy. He's been a different level this season. Had Udogu played more, probably him, because he's been really impactful.
Or Ratavi played more.
Or either like that, but Mendy stepped up again when he just needed to step up, and again the best players do, and he's shown some nice quality. So I think, but then also Albornoz. I know he had tough couple of games, right? But Albornoz, if we're looking at taking recency bias out, when he's good, he's good. When he's bad, he's not good. But when he's good, he's good.
Yeah, interesting that my MVP of the season. It's really hard, but it's more for also the attitude he put in the game every time is Reno Smith. So I'm going with Reno Smith more than even Menoncello that we didn't mention. Guys, we know we didn't mention Menoncello, but probably him. Mendy, if I have to tell, for me is probably the most improved player. Yes,
agreed. 100% agree. And again, maybe I'm recency biased because, like, I think he struggled with the intensity of the URC when he first came over. But maybe it is again recency bias. But like, I can't imagine the games that they won. Right, taking aside like the try assists and the tries that he scored, I can't imagine what could have happened if he was injured. Like, I don't think they would have won those games on the bounce if it wasn't for him, because of the amount of involvements he had in the game and how positive they were. You know.
Interesting. So, your best forward, Mike.
Best forward is interesting because if you asked me at the start of the season, Spaniolo was probably going to be knuckled in, but I'm going to go with Gallo because he's just consistent.
Yes.
Yeah, he's just
much more
consistent.
than probably one of the best Gallo ever we had for consistency
Yes.
in the old games.
Yeah, carrying a beast, turnovers a beast. He loves it, doesn't he? Little pinball.
No, like I really enjoy watching Gallo. I can go easy with I can say Zuliani, and I can mention also the work that did Izegor all season until he was until injury stopped him, because he played a lot of rugby and he was getting really good. But let's go with Zuliani, easy peasy.
2 last-minute tries as well. I think that
My
I think
God,
we need to say.
come on. We needed a couple more of those.
Yeah, we did.
Best back.
Ooh. Best back Brex.
Brex.
Different team when he plays. It's just Brex for me. Okay. Phantom, cover your ears and close your eyes. It's Brex, my friend.
Brex for everything, for the career with Benetton, probably too. A little bit of that. I go here with best back Mendy. Here I can put Mendy in case I want a bit more. Come on, Mendy this season really good, better than expected. Mike, the what if of the season for Treviso? A player, an injury, something that happened. What do you think was a big what if? A player that didn't have a lot of game time, putting
Lewis Liner for me, and I'll tell you why. I saw what he could do under pressure, under intense pressure, like when they won the Premiership. Like, not many people can score tries like him. And he was showing just before he got injured. And you and I know you feel the same because we spoke about it a lot. He was showing some real quality, like the quality that he hadn't shown all season. He started.
And there was so much frustration, Mike, in the first games.
Yeah,
because he wasn't able to get into maybe
the positions and all that.
The position or ball not. I remember a knock on a forward pass by Reno Smith at the beginning of the season for him. It was tried 3 times out of 1.
Yeah. Otto, for me, like, but again, you know, we just said about Mendy, maybe a Dogu, maybe being able to come back earlier had he not been injured. But then obviously Rata. There's so many. But for me, just because I know what he can do in the championship level, is
that's crazy. Yeah, we are mentioning backs one after the other one. All this injury only there because at the end, Seb was out for a bit. The other one, but they still managed. But probably in those positions, always more
impactful.
Mark, who was the player that probably you were expecting a little bit more, and they didn't? I don't know if prove a point.
I don't have to think about it. I don't have to think about it. I'm so disappointed with Creevy, and I don't ever disparage players, but at least give something.
Totally. But one good game that change is not enough, if you want to say like that.
And actually, I think this is probably less Creevy's fault for this, but he wasn't fit enough to play that level of rugby, having been out for so long. And we signed a player that was unfit, and we signed a player that didn't contribute. And I think that's a failure for everyone, including the player.
The only
But that's my
positive
opinion.
about that is, of course, what he can bring into the locker room with experience, with the way you, the mentality, the work attitude, the ethic that probably should be. But then it's different how much you can show up. My God, be honest, Phantom, be honest, it wasn't good enough this season. But the question here, it's interesting, thinking a little bit after the post Rhino Smith, because we are in those movement. Is it gonna be somebody from out like Australia, New Zealand, South Africa? Is gonna
Give
be
Lupo a heart attack, Otto. Go on, say the name that you want to say. Go on, give Lupo the heart attack. Just bring him in.
Pani over there.
Let's bring him in. Otto. What, Prishantelli, what are you saying, man? Do you fancy wearing?
Boffelli's out of contract. He's 30 years old.
Is he?
He's out of
Interesting, that.
contract with Edinburgh. I don't know how much money they're gonna put in it. Gallagher is gonna have a couple of years more. Gallagher also a big what if on the second part of the season.
Actually, really good point. Yeah, really good point.
Il signor Matteo, James Tedesco. Oof, Mike. James
Gav
Tedesco
appreciates that message.
to Benetton. Gavin, yes, me too, actually. My God, who doesn't love James Tedesco? Mike,
Joking aside, do you want me to actually answer that? So, like, who can they pick? I genuinely, if he genuinely wants to play for Italy, which I don't think he does, right? Prishantelli would have been a really good addition. Lots of Argentinians, Albornoz, there's Mendy, there's Gallo, there's Nemer, there's like
so you're saying,
Bernasconi.
let's help the Pumas working on the 10-15 axis. Albornoz.
Perfect. Perfect. Todd. But if I'm being smart and looking at the future, then we have to look at some of the Italian players, Otto, and I think actually I'd love to see someone like Francois May, who's again 12, 15. Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? Like, there's not we don't have that embarrassment of riches at 15, unfortunately.
Yeah, we have some youngster, but let's see how they're gonna develop. Belloni, that Christopher mentioned before, is having a really great season. Even Moscardi is playing really well. Vaccari, there are a lot of the back. There is Kursul, the number 9. It's another young one. So they want to build more. Passarella probably will move to Rovigo next season, so we're gonna see Passarella playing in a better team than Mogliano. Of course,
saying Eletri
scored. Yeah, scored on a great kick pass. It was good.
I like him. I've always liked him. Surprised he hasn't been playing franchise rugby, to be honest.
Man, but there was a really good game, the second one, at least for the Rovigo Petrarca this weekend. Belloni scored, Lucky scored, but he scored. So he keeps scoring, and last minute of the game, they were already winning for 1 point, and then the last moment also drop goal to win by 4 because they lose the first game, Rovigo, and they came over, they won. So that's really good to see. Yeah. You know who was? So we can move on to Zebre, Mike.
You can say MVP
of the semi-final for Viadana versus Valo Rugby. Giovanni Quattrini.
Was he?
Yes.
We've been calling it Otto.
Quattrini played really well until he got really knocked out. He went to the hospital at the end of the game in Iraq. The general manager, not the general manager, one of the manager coaches of Viadana was mad during the media press because he said,
really?
Why they were Tegler, assistant Tegler, why that guy came from anywhere, from somewhere else, and just had on him. So, but Quattrini got a really, really good game. He scored the first try, a maul and everything, but good to know because
darts in good darts, like throwing well. And
yeah, but Mike, if you think this player missed completely a season and a half, and then
but it was always there, Otto. We were saying the components are there, like from watching like
He looks much more
anglicized
bigger
hookers.
too.
Oh, he's put on weight, is he? That's
See,
good. He
yeah,
needed that.
because you remember he looked a little bit
Skinnier.
smaller, skinnier.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but he looks still good in that way. So
Yeah,
partly that.
I think it's fair to say, right, for the most part, obviously there's some outliers with like the Argentinians and definitely like the South Africans and stuff, but like the hookers that like England have produced, like Jamie George doesn't really look like a world class hooker, but he throws like there's little bits like that where you can see like little parts of the game where Quattrini always looked like he could be a good player. So good luck to the young man. Hopefully he keeps developing, and hopefully we see him at Zip like in Parma next year. So
Maybe he's gonna be. Maybe it's gonna be the third player. But let's go through the game, and then we can talk the same about the season by season. Chop boys. Mike, I was hoping to win this game honestly with the Zebra because I thought before the game they were able to win it. But I was like, okay, all the energies for this game, where there were those changes. If we think about last weekend against Leinster and this weekend, but talking about hookers and Mall driving Mall, how good they were.
Don't.
No.
Or do I message you? Don't.
I know, but that's true.
So
The
first
game,
things first. I want to be complimentary, right? I want to be complimentary. Prendergast is an animal. He is an animal.
he scored something similar against Benetton 2 years ago.
Even two sub 5 meter turnovers from the try line as well, like to stop the attack. What the first one was right, and then obviously like twice from the Maul defense, right? That we're going to talk about a lot, I'm guessing, but like also the physical turn. Genuinely, right? I think you take him out of the game, but it might actually have won that game. Like you take that one man out of the game, he was so impactful. What an animal! What a genuine animal. I know, obviously, you can't say that because rugby is a game won by a team and not an individual. But man, God, he was playing. He really played like a captain. So I just wanted to call that out.
When he's the same player that does a lot of stuff around the field, he's let's see.
I've got you. Yeah, I can hear you. Go.
So I was saying that when during a game there are the same player that is in attack, is in defense, is in the air, is in the mall. He is a factor. It's something that can change the game. So little bit tired, the boys, at the end.
Yeah, I think also like emotionally. Yeah, like it's yeah. I think it's hard for some of the players to almost celebrating like these players when you know that they're not going to be there next season and they're not going to sweat and bleed for the same cause that you're going through. Maybe there was like an emotional element to that, but yeah, they look lethargic. I agree with you, Otto. They looked a little bit tired, a little bit discombobulated.
Let's see here. This second one, that was a situation that I was mentioning to you in the game. The opportunities that could have been a easy try, because you play 2 versus 1 instead of kicking the ball for yourself, and maybe you can support that player too for another 2 versus 1. That was a situation that in the second half he did well. Stavile passing the ball inside to Jesse, because he learned from experience from the first minutes of the game. There was that situation twice. So yes, was something, but missed chances absolutely. There were situations where they were really smart, but then they keep losing meters. It give the chance to counter attack sometimes, but it was Trulla tried to attack everywhere, isolated. So there was something not going. Let's say,
Can I be honest with you, Otto? I actually think they really struggle without a second distributor. Like without Prishantelli playing, like you can see, like there's a bit of a disconnect, right? And even players like even when Paella or Gregory were trying to do like missed passes and stuff, like I think there was a distinct one where it was just a terrible pass and it hit Jersey on the knee. Had that gone to hand, it was clear right where it was. It was 3-on-2, but it would have isolated the 2-on-1. Had that gone to hand, you give Jersey that sort of space and time. Like if that went to hands, he was away. Little things like that, like those are the bits that stick with me in the game. Where I'm like little things where if they had a distributor, second distributor, or like someone more competent passing in the centres. Potentially, I thought it could have been a different game, you know.
For me, it still should have been different. I don't know. Also what when the decision not to bring another 10 to close the game, that was weird for me actually. Why?
Do you think that was forced?
Yeah, that I'm wondering if Dare wasn't available at all. So
Yeah,
that's
I don't know.
only decision because you have Prishantelli out too. That's my guessing.
I thought I want to say like I thought the past two games, Forsskås had a really really good game. Past couple of games prior to the red card as well, he had a really good game, and then also the games that he played fullback this season, the two games he played fullback, I thought he was brilliant. But this game in particular, his kicking out of hand was great. It's just again consistency with that lad. So yeah, hopefully he's only 25, Otto. That's mad, isn't it?
Finally starting to shape as a 9.
Right, right, exactly. Like now he starts to look like a 9 after like 7 or 8 years playing in the position.
Now he thinks much more, and then
so well rounded.
He's getting harder in defense more. It was something that he already had, but now he seems much more in the mood to be the right player, to smash players sometimes, which is fantastic. But before moving on, a little bit of fire here, a little bit.
Oh, we're talking about this again, are we? All right. Let's talk about this again.
Two friends of the podcast mentioning glamour in this negative, picturing glamour in this way a little bit, which is fun.
So just for you guys who missed the podcast last week, we did actually sort of speak about this specifically in regards to Zuliani and Lamaro, but it's hard to argue that Stavile has been a revelation this season, and he's been attacking almost too much at times, but he wants.
I agree.
Otto, what do I always say? What do I want in a player? I always say it every single time. Like, what for me is a mark of a great player? A player that's
can do everything.
Busy. He
can do everything and can be everywhere.
Right, Otto. We were just talking about Prendergast, right? Stavile was everything that's good in Zebre as well. Like, I know he made lots of mistakes, but he made lots of mistakes because he was trying to get the win. He was
good
that mentality.
That's true.
Otto. So yes, for me, I'd like to see him play for Italy this season. If and when he decides, or like he
bring it to Namibia. He said in the interview against when he arrived, when he joined actually Zebre, because he was already in Italy for years before that, which is crazy to think. It was a 7 players, and also before this season started, if you go through the old podcast, we mentioned him as a player to look out for. Look at the one with the curly hair. With the curly hair, he's gonna be good. He's good because he was really good. He needed only to fill a little bit of physical gap and intent, because he was already with this intensity playing for Rovigo.
He's got an engine, hasn't he?
Yeah. So there was a lot we were ready for the player like that, and he really show up.
I'm going to ask you a question now, Otto.
Go.
So, do you think Stavile could replicate the standard of play against a South Africa?
I mean, probably yes. I think so.
Then what we that if coming from you, right? And I hold your word in
Yeah, I
highest
think
regard.
I
Coming
think
from you, then he
he
gets
can
he
play
has to
at
get picked.
20 minutes against South Africa. I think
Otto, he has to get picked. Then he has to get picked. If
that's
we
why I
can
said
say that,
Namibia. Worst case scenario, we have the third game, right?
fine, Otto, he's getting picked. Then he has to. He has. If we're saying that he can bring, if he can bring 80% of what he does at Zebre to the national team against a team like South Africa, he plays for me. He plays. Maybe not start like you said, but he plays because that's a game changer that we don't have. We don't have a player like that. We don't have a player that it's in certainly not in the back row anyway, that can do what he can do. That has the hands that he has. I know obviously I'm talking about this after he butchers a couple of passes and stuff, but like
still,
in general,
no, still
in general,
does a lot.
if we're saying Lamaro's USP was his handling skills,
A player with a speed, a different speed.
right,
Something. No, it could be really, really interesting, Mike, to see playing
if he
for
gets
the
picked
national team.
and if he wants to play for us.
Yeah. You know what? We always, always in the back row, the good players. Always in the back row, which is crazy. Another good in the back row. We need to create more locks, but my God. Mike, who was the MVP of the season for Zebra?
Most impact. I mean, I think it's easy to say Fisco, but not for me. I think, and Prishantelli was brilliant before he got injured. I think the person that added the most to the team is Darre, who's added the most. Someone who's come in and helped the team the most in terms of like how their identity and stuff. But it's hard not to say Stavile, isn't it? Like let's be honest. For me, for me.
Okay, I go with Prishantelli. I understand the players that you mentioned, but probably he is the one more consistent. If we go look at the data, probably still topping some of the
carry stats,
which is crazy.
Yeah. Hasn't played for 6 months and still top of the carry charts.
So yeah, probably him. And who was the most improved player?
Well,
there were more than one. If we think about, of course, all the team level up. But
Di Bartolomeo.
Oh, bravo, bello,
easy. Different player from the start of the season. Gonna give Quesada a headache in the next few months, I think. Good player, and yeah, he's and again Brunello. Well done, my son. Well done.
So the best forward, because you mentioned Stabile and Di Bartolomeo. Still one of those two, or for the
you take them out,
player.
Yeah. If you take Stabile out, there were players that could have played in that position and done a job. I don't think if you take Di Bartolomeo, you had BG or Ribaldi. I think he's if I'm being really honest, I think Di Bartolomeo for me has been the most impactful player, like in front, considering the line-out percentages. Otto, if we're going to talk about last year,
okay,
yeah.
So, I say Prishantelli, and then as a most improved player, I'm really between two players.
Good shout, actually. Sorry, by Phantom.
Yeah, Ligada is a best. Which Phantom? Best player, most improved, or only best forward? I think one can be Momoasa, one of the
very nice, very nice, like that.
Is another one that we were waiting for these other two players to show up, because they were the front row of Petrarca 3 years ago, the one that won the Serie A, the Scudetto. They were Asa, Di Bartolomeo, and Spagnolo. So good to see also that other player. Probably yes, I go with him. Or not, was Krumov, Mike.
He was good. He was good when he was making tackles. He was
I
really
think
good.
has improved. Then, but let's see. Let's go with the Licata best forward. I agree with Phantom. Yes, can be him because was good on the backs. Mike, I mentioned Pisciantelli, so I'm gonna mention Dare now.
Yeah,
Because I really love the way he play rugby in general.
yeah. For me, I agree. If we go for most improved back,
You have
um,
Paella,
I, right, but I was also going to give a homage to a player that I was probably a little bit harsh on, which was Matza. I think he's been,
Damiano Mazza.
I
Sì.
thought he's been very
I'm
good.
gonna take a look at the stats when they are out, the Opta updated, so we have all the season and we can see all the centers how they play and everything is gonna be interesting. Maybe we're gonna be surprised for some data really close between some Italian players. So let's see about that.
I also think
Mike,
full score, like I said, has improved a lot. I don't, yeah, between those two for most improved back for me.
okay. Mike, before moving to the transfer market, what Bortolami is leaving to
For where?
Treviso? No, what he left to Treviso, like his role in Treviso for a few years now. How you gonna remember in 10 years? Oh, when Bortolami was at Treviso.
For me, I think he laid the foundations for professionalism, and what I mean by that is he was very data driven, like with the fitness and the bleep test before they can play, and making sure that the players were of certain standard and conditioning to play. That's something that he was quite diligent with. Obviously, he knows the basics of the games really well, like the line out, the scrum. He understood the importance of capitalizing on set piece. So for me, I think it's like he's laid down like a really solid foundation for whoever it picks up. Like so, McRae in this point, like he set that foundation. Now it's for someone else to come take the project over and take the next step. So I think if Benetton have a couple of really good seasons, it'd be hard to say that he didn't have his fingerprints on the long-lasting success of the team. And I think that's how he should be remembered. Like he was a man that sweat a lot for bled a lot for the shirt. And his dad died, and he was there, that week. Still at, in the coaching box. He didn't stuff like that. Like he's given a lot to the club, and that's what he should be remembered for. In my opinion.
Pretty good is gonna be remembered because I think a lot of really good game that Treviso had in the last year they will be remembered in 10 years and more. Thinking La Rochelle, but I think also going to play in that way so close for the Challenge Cup to the semi-final is still something that you have to be proud of it. And also having this good breed of a young player and having the opportunity to start showing with him because he had it for let's say 2 or 3 years now. If you think about Menoncello, the evolution of Brex in these years is something that he was able to manage what Kieran Crowley started doing in his way, which is fantastic. But also for me, also some what if during this season? What if there was a different approach? Maybe he wasn't expecting that with the attack. To be honest, because he's always been that. He defended Troncon in the interview he did, of course, because he's a coach that you wanted on. So of course, it has to be positive in that way, and I'm okay because it was part of my staff. And somebody's talking shit about somebody that is part of my staff, I'm gonna defend it.
Yeah, but you don't throw shit towards the players.
So
I don't think
I love what he did in that way, but the what if is about what if Masi was not leaving, so there was that approach of attack. Probably that what if is something that changed also the perspective that he had in the rugby that he showed with Treviso.
Otto, keep me honest here, and I want this is to your point more than anything. Marzi, before he left to Toulon were like struggling in the top 14, right? And now they're like
They were kind of rebuilding. This year has been the great, but also Mignonia. I mean, we have to say also that Mignoni was doing well with the Lyon. He was showing up something. So it's all connected, all little things that goes together. Let's say.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Otto, I agree. Mazi's a massive what if.
Because
And
that's why, because the victories are made by a staff. It's not on everything on one, but of course he has to put the face in the media press and everything. Probably I would like to have seen more Bortolami talking to the media, not only when they play home at Treviso, because this is happening when they play away. Usually there's no the media open,
press
so a
conference,
little bit more
yeah.
of that, because he is a guy that speak about rugby. So a little
Yeah,
bit more of that I wanted to see.
yeah, that's fair. I also think one thing that normally is a mark of like a good coach is the ability to retain talent. And there's a lot of players who had shown enough to get picked up on like a decent salary abroad. And I'm looking at, you know, Menoncello, at least initially the first time. But these are players that really stayed because like they believed in what the vision was, and that vision is normally derived from the coach and how he speaks about rugby. So to give credit where credit's due for Bortolami, I think a good reflection of his tenure is the fact that he managed to retain talent that was very sought after by other European clubs, and that goes to show how much they believed in him as a coach. Did he get it right? We won't know, but I do think there is an element where you're right. He's a proud man and he was protecting his friend, but also there's always a question with regards to, you know, questions. Sorry, there's always answers when there's questions that need to be asked, and sometimes, you know, you can only protect someone for so long as well. So it's going to be interesting.
Mike, and then at the end of everything is the Italian coach that went closer to results, highest results ever, as an
Yeah.
Italian coaches.
Yeah. So that brings me a question to you, Otto. Then, where do you expect him to go? I can't imagine he's retiring full stop. I assume he's going elsewhere. What are you saying?
I think he should go to in Wales, Mike.
In what, one of the one of the regions?
Yes,
Where
love to see him there. Different approach.
it would work for them. It would work for them. Like very Anglo. The way he played was very Anglo, though.
Yeah. So probably there could be the. I would like to see him playing there. Playing, coaching players over there. And
Edinburgh.
Phantom, I don't remember this. So find it and send it to me. The speech, because I don't remember that. Sorry. And here we have another player of the year, Licata Di Bartolomeo. So Robert probably is catching up now with what we said until about Zebre. Let's go back to Zebre, Mike, because the exciting news of the week, of the day, is something that we were saying.
Heard it here first. Follow us on X. We come with the record breaking. We had this days before it was announced, guys. You come to us first.
Man, when I saw in all the rugby, and then they start putting the stuff after the game, I said, Madonna mia, what's happening? It was crazy.
Yeah.
Transfer of the week, Odiase to Zebre. How happy you are with this move?
The best news for Zebre. And I'll tell you why. For me, it's one of those where he is the mentality that he brings. Like we saw it, like when he was captain. We see it in the way he plays. Like he does not give a fuck who's in front of him. Like that's something like Ferrari has that. We talk about players with a bit of C about them. Unfortunately, in Parma, we need players like that. We need players who don't care if you're, you know, a World Cup winning a a World Cup winning Springbok, he's going to try and run through you. Like, he does not care. And we need more players like that. Like, it's not about respect, it's about like confidence. He's a confident player. I love that. And also, it's come at a good time because the game the game is attritional, and like there's players in his position that are probably looking to transition over the next few years at national team level. So it was really smart move from him, in my opinion. And he's under his old friend Brunello again. Otto.
And that's great because we're gonna go. Man, I'm happy to see, honestly, Ferrari or Diaz together. Those are players. That is something that really triggered my imagination about how many damages they can do just running. Those players with the C factor, putting the body on the line, and that is probably what is one of the best about this idea. How much he cares, how much he wants to prove himself, because also
how much he wants to win. Otto. That's
the point. That's the point. He's gonna be home, close to home, so probably he's gonna be even happier because Oyone, come on, nice and everything, but come on, to say anything else? No, okay. So, and then let's see, because he's gonna bring carries, as you said. He can be an option, even the line out carrier off 9 for a pod. So it's gonna be really interesting to see him.
Do you think?
Not
Do you think?
next year against a lot of Italians, he can play against the national team in a certain way. No, when we spoke about Benetton, those
I've got a
players.
question for you, Otto.
Like,
So I think we can draw parallels between him and Ferrari, the way they play, the way they like mentality, like the way they see the game and stuff. Like, do you think we're going to see them on the pitch at the same time? Do you think it's going to be, or do you think they're now competing for a spot? Like,
if we think about a 7 Stabile, 8 Licata, 6 can be both players. So, to be honest, can play
they're competing, you think?
If they're gonna play in that way, but this open to other dimension, because I don't know how much Brunello will keep trying Volpi, because that's something that's surprised me. Like Volpi still in the team. Bianchi and Ruggeri too. Bianchi played really well the first part of the season, but I'm wondering what is going to happen also with Yakitsi, if Yakitsi will come to Zebre, if it's going to be an option back row or as a lock.
Yeah.
And then there is also Locatelli. So if let's do the parallel, we have Ferrari Diaz on a 6, Stabile, Bianchi, or Locatelli, in case confirmed, on the 7, Licata, and then you can put whatever you want as an 8. Even Odiase, even Ferrari, because he did that too.
Do you think we'll see Odiase at 8?
Odiase came as a number 8 in the last games for Oyone, and he's keeping doing well.
Sorry, the reason I'm asking you is this. I love players that bring more to the table. You know, like you want a USP, you want that. And if they're going to be competing, Otto, I'd love to, like, from your perspective, I'd love to hear like where you think, like, who's now looking behind their back, like, oof, I'm gonna have a good preseason. Like, I'm gonna have to push myself that little bit harder now. And again, we have a Zuliani Lamaro-esque type battle for the 7 shirt, and like people start, people start arguing over who should start. And so that's what I want. That's what I want. Genuinely, I want that next season.
I'm also a really big supporter of Ferrari lock. So
hey, I'm with you. Like, obviously, people always just look at the height and like, oh no, you got. But he's great in the lineup.
But he jumps really well on
So
the first
good.
on the first channel, let's say.
Yeah,
so
first one.
And where usually if he's not in the field, it's Stabile jumping there. So both they jump. Then you have the other option, of course. You have Canali and Krumov. But then let's see what's gonna happen there, huh? Because something can change. Mike, it's interesting. Let's see the new other players. They will be announced because I think at least some of these, let's say, Ruffolo next year, Mike. Ruffolo.
Yes.
That is gonna be interesting. Another really runner,
Lamborghini.
a runner lock. Yes, a T-Rex giraffe. Not that giraffe style, but still a big one. So those are all players to take a look and see what they can do. And anyway, having Odiase that probably could play 15 games in URC next season means that he's gonna put game time, and if everything goes well, it's gonna be much more interesting to see what is gonna happen on the left side or right side of the scrum for Italy.
Looks like he's put on a bit of mass as well in France, which is good. So he looks big.
He looks huge, Mike.
Yeah,
He looks
he does. He looks big.
It's a panther. You see how much he can run. How can the evasion that has in the last 5 meters. We posted on X, so you can see, guys, what he did just from a set move on the line out. But let's see. Wrapping up, because we went long enough. This is a good question. We still don't know when it's gonna happen. So we are on our expecting everything on the grill. We are literally on the grill, because who knows who's gonna be called, who's not gonna be in the tour, who's gonna go training in Rome before they leave, and then they're gonna be carried out. But the good thing for now, Mike, is 3 weeks of vacation for the player.
Yes. As long as they don't do. I don't know who it was, but did you hear about that Fijian guy who played for France? He went home to Fiji for like 3.5 weeks before pre-season. He comes back and he's put on like 2.5 stone. As long as they don't do that, honestly, I'll try and find it for you. There's like this was years ago, obviously, but it was a prop.
It wasn't Trevor Leota.
No. It was a prop. It was a Fijian prop.
Okay. Taume Big Ben, Taume Fina.
I'll find it. I can't remember off the top of my head. I heard it on another podcast. But basically, yeah, he went home like, I don't know, like 3 weeks before preseason. Apparently, they wouldn't let him play. They wouldn't let him play until Christmas. So he lost all the weight.
My God, only pork. Eating pork, drinking coconut milk and kava. My God.
So funny.
That's life.
Hey, listen, like they know how to live out there, my friend.
That's life. Okay, so guys, thank you for being with us tonight too. Robert, Phantom, Cursino, who was up here, Christopher as usual, Domenico. See you next week. We're gonna talk a lot about maybe transfer news, maybe something else about what's gonna happen next, but URC, Mike, more stuff to come, and more Italians abroad to talk about. So,
for sure.
Ciao a tutti. Ciao.